Alright everybody, we're diving back into Magic the Gathering Arena, and today we have a very weird deck. It feels like it shouldn't be powerful, but it's been working for me in my duels, so we're going to try it out and hopefully I can scrape together some wins today. So let's talk about what's going on with this thing. What is the concept? The general idea that I've got going here is I want to overwhelm my opponent with a silly number of expendable creatures, specifically Saprolings. So we've got cards like Saproling Migration. For 2 mana, we can create 2 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens, or we can spend 6 mana to create 4 of those tokens instead. So we've got 2 of those in the deck. We're just going to try to spam as many Saprolings as we can. So to continue with that premise, I've got other creatures like the Deathbloom Thallid. For 3 mana, we get a 3/2, but also when Deathbloom Thallid dies, it creates a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. So if I put this on the field, I use it to block, it dies, I'm also going to get another creature out of it. So I'm getting a lot of value from this one relatively low mana cost creature. I've also got stuff like Aven Eternal in the deck. This is a 2/2 with flying for 3 mana. When Aven Eternal enters the battlefield, amass 1. Amass puts a 1/1 counter on an army you control, but if you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So when this comes into play, it essentially brings another creature along with it. So we're getting a lot of value from this card. Now, something that you've probably already noticed is that I'm using 3 different colors in this deck. We've got black, we've got green, and we've got blue. So that means mana could wind up being a problem, but I've tried to mitigate it as best I can by using 5 island, 5 swamp, 5 forest, and then 3 different multicolored lands as well. So hopefully I don't run into too many mana starvation issues. I haven't had many problems with the deck so far. Crossing my fingers though. Now, there's a lot of other really cool stuff in the deck. Dreadmalkin is a 1/1 zombie cat with menace, and I can spend 3 mana, sacrifice another creature or planeswalker to put 2 1/1 counters on Dreadmalkin. So if I've got a bunch of Saprolings on the field and I've got mana to play around with, I can just have my little kitty cat eat them all up and get significantly more powerful. And because it has menace, my opponent has to block it with 2 creatures or more. Now, there's obviously other stuff in the deck that I didn't mention, but we'll talk about it more once we start playing. So let's get out there. I'm not going to let this be a reflection of the power of the deck that I've created. I'm just going to say I made some pretty big misplays, and I'm going to try not to do that again. Okay, our starting hand has an assortment of all the different mana I could ask for, and we've got some pretty powerful cards as well, so I'm going to keep it and work with it as best I can. Now, one thing about this deck is it feels a little bit slow to start with. I don't have many things that I can play in the first 2 turns, but once we get a decent amount of mana on the board, we can start having a lot of fun. We get creatures like the Deathbloom Thallid out there. Toll of the Invasion, I get to look at my opponent's hand and choose a card that they discard. That feels pretty nice, but first I'm going to start off with play another mana, and then we play the Deathbloom Thallid. So we've got a pretty hefty creature on the field that will waste a lot of resources if it is to be destroyed, right? Because it's got to be killed once in its Deathbloom Thallid form, and then it's got to be killed another time as its Saproling form. Now, unfortunately, creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 means the Dreamcaller Siren is going to be a huge problem. I don't know if there's anything that I can really do to stop that. I may be in trouble straight out of the gate. But what I can try to do is mitigate my pain a little bit. So the Poison Tip Archer, whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Let's see what happens here. Rescuer Sphinx. As Rescuer Sphinx enters the battlefield, you may return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Rescuer Sphinx enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. Fascinating play. Very fascinating play. Now, I'm tempted right now to use Toll of the Invasion. You know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to look at his hand, and I'm going to blow something up. Let's see. You know what? Let's get rid of that Dreamcaller Siren, because that's going to be very powerful because of the favorable winds. There were some other cool cards in his hand, but I'm feeling comfortable with the way that worked. Also, I can use Callous Dismissal to return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, get that extra token out of here, and we start going for the face. That felt like a pretty potent combination. We've cleared the battlefield. We've really set our opponent back. We've delayed their game quite a bit. I like it. I like it a lot. Next part of the plan, I've got 5 mana to work with. That is just enough for me to play Spore Swarm. It's going to give me 3 Saproling tokens, and I'm also going to play the Dread Malkin. So next turn, the Dread Malkin is going to start eating fools. He's going to start nomming people up. Alright, the Siren Reaver is going to block, but the cool thing is, whenever a creature dies, the Poison Tip Archer is going to take a shot at the face, deal some damage. So I actually want my creatures to die right now. That's kind of a dual function of the Dread Malkin. Every time he goes to lunch, then the Poison Tip Archer can deal 1 damage to the face. Now, I knew this was going to happen. Sleep. This was one of the cards that I chose not to get rid of. Tap all creatures target player controls. Those creatures don't untap during the next untap step. It's a problem. It's problematic. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I can still do some cool stuff in the meantime. Like I can go to lunch. Nim 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 nim. That's totally fine. So he returned the Dread Malkin to my hand, but I'm still getting value out of it because every time it eats a creature, again, the Poison Tip Archer is going to do some damage. And the game is also kind of stalled out a little bit. He doesn't want to attack because he wants to save some blockers for himself. Because I have lethal damage, so he doesn't want that to be a thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the Saproling Migration, and I'm going to kick it. So we're going to get 4 more Saprolings added to the field, and I'm going to resummon the Dread Malkin. I'm also going to continue to pressure him with the Deathbloom Thallid, because he doesn't want to block it, because if it dies, obviously it turns into a token, but the Poison Tip Archer is going to deal damage to him. It's like there's nothing that he can really do at this point that's beneficial to him. Even killing my creatures is bad for him while the Poison Tip Archer is on the field. I'm shutting him down, dude. It's over. There's nothing he could do. I won. I won. Oh, this is dirty. Why am I doing this? Why am I being rude to him? I've won the game already, and I'm still doing a combo. Oh, that was rude. I apologize for that. I should have just killed him. All right, we're starting things off with a pretty bad hand that I shouldn't keep. So I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan, and I got something a little bit better. We've got our boy the Dread Malkin, the Zombie Cat, in our hand to start things off, and a Saproling Migration. Top card of our library is a mana. This feels pretty good. It's a decent spread of what this deck has to offer. So I'm gonna bring out our Zombie Kitty Cat to start things off, and I don't know. He might start chowing down on Saprolings pretty early on in the match. So you know, whenever I use a deck like this, man, I always feel like such a hipster, and it kind of bothers me sometimes because I don't deliberately go out of my way to play stuff that isn't the meta. Because here's the thing, right? If I had all the cards that are in circulation right now available to play with, I would make the strongest deck that I possibly could. It would be so absurd. I would never lose a game. But I don't. I don't have access to every single card in the game. I don't have access to everything that I want in the game. So what I do is I wouldn't necessarily call it goofing around, but I try to make stuff with what I have, and I try to be as creative as I can while also finding a degree of effectiveness with the scraps that I've been given. And that's what this deck feels like. It feels like I've taken all the different scraps from the blues, the swamps, and the forest, and I've created something that feels tolerable. So we've got a Satyr Enchanter on the field. Whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card. It's a 4/4 now because of the Knight's Pledge. Honestly, get that crap out of here. I don't need to deal with that. We're going to block it with the Poison Tip Archer. It's got Reach and Death Touch, and whenever another creature dies, it deals 1 damage to an opponent. So that was pretty big. How much mana do I have? 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 mana. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring out the Spore Swarm. This creates 3 1/1 Saproling tokens, and just for giggles, I'm going to bring out another Zombie Cat. And the original Zombie Cat is going to continue to attack. Because it has Menace, it cannot be blocked by a single creature. It has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures, which is really nice. So now that we've got 2 kitty cats and 3 Saprolings on the field, we can start having lunch. So we're gonna eat our Saprolings to increase the power of our Zombie Cat. Now it's a 3/3, but it's not strong enough yet. So I'm going to skip attacking this time, because now that he has 2 creatures on the field, they can gang up on my little blue cat. And I don't want that to happen, because I don't want him to die right away. He's probably going to die anyway, but, you know, it'd be nice if he didn't. My guess is this guy put a Luminous Bonds in his deck, and he's probably going to use it on my cat at some point. Then again, maybe he doesn't, because it's very clear that the structure of his deck is based on enchantments. Druid of Horns. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets Druid of Horns, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. That's intimidating. There's also a very good chance that he has some shenanigans in his hand that he's going to use if I block with the Malkin, so I'm going to block with the Saproling. You're not catching me out with some shenanigans. Maybe he didn't have anything. I don't know. So here we go. Anyway, Saproling Migration. We're going to kick it. This is going to give us 4 additional tokens. That's a lot. Next turn is where things start to get interesting. We're going to chow down on a couple of these little guys. And then we're going to send our big old kitty into the fray. If it lasts that long, anyway. Yeah, there it goes. That's okay, because we've got another one. I can do this all day. Okay, so because he was cheeky and put a Luminous Bonds on my Dreadmalkin, I'm going to eat it. I don't have anything that can remove Luminous Bonds, so I don't feel bad about consuming my own creature. And there we go. Now we've got a 5/5. It's got Menace, can't be blocked by the Novice Knight. Gonna get a big chunk of damage on there. So far, so good. So far, so good. We're not in an ideal position at all, but we're not in a horrible position. Essentially, what needs to happen here is I'm not gonna block because I've been blocking a lot this whole game, and I'm at a good amount of health. What needs to happen is I need to get big damage off, and I need to get it off very quickly. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to return the Satyr Enchanter to his hand. Okay, because that's kind of expensive, and that's going to amass 1, so I've got an extra zombie to play with. Then, Kitty Cat is going to lunch. I'm going to eat another Saproling. We've got 7. Now we attack with the... yeah, we attack with the 7. And he's got to take that damage. There's no way he can stop that. So next turn, if he attacks me again with everything, then he just automatically loses. So he's probably going to save those creatures to block. Oh, here we go. An enchantment coming out. Druid of Horns getting stronger and summoning that 3/3 beast. So obviously I'm going to block the 5/6. But I'm going to take that 2 damage on the chin. I've got plenty of health to play with right now. That's totally okay. And here's where things get really funky. If I make a wrong decision, then I lose. but I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the right one. So let's once again cancel. Order of operations, super important here. Kitty cat, he goes to lunch. That's step number 1. Step number 2, send creature back to opponent's hand. Success. Step number 3, attack for 9. So, okay. We did it. That felt pretty good. I'm on a high right now. I just lost a bunch of games in a row, and now I'm winning. The deck doesn't feel so bad. Doesn't feel so bad. Okay, let's do another one. Let's see if we can recreate the magic that we just had here. No pun intended. Apparently I say magic a lot, and it's only a pun when I play Magic the Gathering. Anyway. Alright, this time things are still not ideal, but it's significantly better than what we had before. So I feel a lot more comfortable working with this. We've got a spread of all the different colors of mana. We've got black from this gate. We've got blue. We've got green. And we've got a Deathbloom Thallid, which always feels pretty nice. Now, with the creatures that I have in my hand, the Slimefoot Stowaway in tandem with the Poison Tip Archer can be very, very powerful. That'll send out a lot of damage every time a Saproling dies, which would definitely feel nice. So let's go ahead and bring out our Deathbloom Thallid. Got a nice big boy on the field. The Healer's Hawk is going to continue poking me in the face every turn because it's got flying, and there's not much I can do to deal with that until we get the Poison Tip Archer on the field. And this other guy didn't read his effect. The Pelt Collector, whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, that creature, if that creature's power is greater than Pelt Collector, put a 1/1 counter on Pelt Collector. As long as Pelt Collector has 3 or more 1/1 counters on it, it has trample. Interesting. Fascinating. Let's bring out the Poison Tip Archer. And you know what? I'll go for an attack. I want to gauge his response to this. He's most likely going to let it go through, because I doubt he wants to let such a strong creature go to waste like that. Whenever you have a creature that can grow stronger, you don't want it to die right away. So we got that 3 damage out, but the lifelink is going to be very, very difficult for us to deal with. And so is Ajani the Great-Hearted. Adding those 1/1 +1/+1 counters to everything has made his board incredibly dangerous, but he doesn't want to attack just yet. Most likely he wants to get rid of the Poison Tip Archer before he attacks because he doesn't want to deal with Death Touch. But what he doesn't realize is I have Murder. So let's get that out of here. I don't want the Pelt Collector to snowball out of control. And I'm going to continue pressuring him with the Deathbloom Thallid. But I'm going to pressure Ajani instead of him, because Ajani can be hugely problematic. It allows him to gain life, and it can give those counters, so I really want to get rid of Ajani. So far, so good, though. We've got some nice things on the field, but this is going to be difficult for me to deal with. When Thundering... No, it's not important. So, one of the main flaws in my deck is that I can't really deal with big creatures like this. This 4/5, unless I get a removal, there's nothing I can do to put a stop to that. And guess who doesn't have any removal in his hand? This guy. Do I want to attack? Not really. No attacks. Okay, so now that Zombie Cat is on the field, though, and we have Slimefoot the Stowaway, every time a Saproling dies, we're going to deal 2 damage, and we're going to gain 1 life. So that feels pretty nice. But the other side of the board is very, very strong and very intimidating. So I'm in a lot of trouble here. But let's go ahead and go along with our original plan. We feast, the damage goes out, and the life comes in. No attacks just yet. I don't have a great plan right now. I really don't have a solid plan, because there's no way for me to deal with any of these creatures with what I have to work with currently, and that's very, very terrifying. But let's bring out the mana geo. Drawing that mana was very good for me. It's going to allow me to look at the top card of my deck. Bleeding Edge. Creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. And I'll keep it. I'll keep it. And I've got 3 more mana to play with. I'm going to use it to bring out the Aven Eternal. 2/2 with flying. It also amasses 1, so I get another zombie that I'm going to eat in the next turn. So again, no attacks. Both of us are at a slight stalemate situation right now. Because he doesn't... It seems like my opponent doesn't want to attack because of the poison tip archer. And I don't want to attack because if I do, then everything dies. But it's tricky. It's tricky. So here's what we do. I'm going to start off by consuming the flesh, the rotting flesh of my zombie army. Because kitty cat's got to eat. Got to feed the kitty cat. And then what I'm going to do is summon another Aven Eternal. So this is going to create another zombie army. So the cool thing about Amass, right, is that whenever I use Amass, it'll either put counters on an existing army or it'll create a new one if there are no armies to put the counters on. And I want new armies so I can feed them to my cat. So I don't want to make a really strong individual creature. I just want to keep creating small creatures to eat. So this 8/8 with Vigilance is not ideal. Ajani's Pride made it get stronger every turn that I don't deal with it. Let's go ahead and deal with it. The Poison Tip Archer is going to block that. Then we block this 4/4 with the Dreadmalkin. And then we run away feeling kind of okay with the exchange. We did take some big damage from the Thundering Kriatok, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Okay, we bring out another Saproling, and that's going to leave me with the perfect amount of mana to consume. Now is not the time to feast, my friends. Now is the time to sit on Vicious Offering. So we go into the combat phase. I am going to attack, but I'm going to attack with my flyers because they can safely get over and get at Ajani. So we want to get him off the battlefield. So now that he's been dealt with, we can end the turn. My opponent's probably going to attack. If he does, I'm going to use Vicious Offering on the Thundering Kriatok. Ceratok? Ceratok. I think it's Ceratok. He's making the safe play by not attacking. That feels pretty good. I drew into a Callous Dismissal. So guess what time it is? It's lunchtime. Pay that mana. We're eating that zombie. Num 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 num. And now we send the Ceratok back to his hand. So we've got a 7/7 Dreadmalkin on the field. Very powerful. We move into that combat phase. Oh boy. It's starting to get wild, folks. Bang, bang, bang. All that health that was gained over the course of the match is going to get chipped away very quickly. If he doesn't have the removal to deal with, what is each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Oh, I thought that was way scarier than it actually was. It's still intimidating, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was worse. Whew, wiping some sweat off the brow there. The Satyr Enchanter is going to attack me. I'm just going to block it with one of my Saprolings. Not a huge deal. It doesn't have trample. Don't have to worry about it at all. And the Slimefoot Stowaway is going to keep me in there. So what's making this matchup really tough for my opponent is he doesn't seem to have a lot of removal in his deck. Now, granted, neither do I, but I have just enough ways to kind of stall and bide my time that I'm able to kind of come out on top of this. So Dreadmalkin, he's going to feast again on our zombie, making him a little bit stronger. He's a 9/9 now. Now we move into the combat phase, and we send out our attacks. I shouldn't send out all of them, but I'm going to do it. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Bleeding Edge on this guy just so I can amass 2. because I need something that can block on the field. And I don't necessarily want to block with the Slimefoot Stowaway. Slimefoot the Stowaway. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to block the 6/6, and I'm going to take 3 on the chin from the Satyr Enchanter, and that's totally okay. He doesn't have any cards in his hand that he can use to create any shenanigans. And since he attacked with everything, the Dreadmalkin is going to kill him this turn. So we won. We came out on top of this one. This one felt pretty good. I was certainly, excuse me, I was certainly worried about how this was going to turn out because of the strength of the creatures that my opponent was working with. But overall, we had the perfect mix of removal and tokens to use as kind of cannon fodder. That this worked out. This worked out, and this felt pretty good. And this is why I enjoy this deck. It feels versatile, but it also feels powerful when I get the right flow of cards, when I get the right flow of removal, ways to stall the game. This is nice. So before we close out, I'm gonna go in and just kind of talk a little bit about why I like this so much. We have the perfect mix of removal, stalling with Callous Dismissal, and of course our zombie cat put in so much work. If I'm fighting against somebody that doesn't have a way to immediately remove the Dreadmalkin, then it is seemingly unstoppable, right? With the endless flow of Saprolings from Saproling Migration, Slimefoot the Stowaway, Yavimaya Shepherd. There's so many ways that I can provide food for the Dreadmalkin to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that menace effect is ridiculous, especially if I'm going up against somebody that doesn't have a lot of creatures. If they only have 2 creatures on the field and I have something like Callous Dismissal, flip one of them back to my opponent's hand, that menace strike goes straight through. It feels good, man. I like the way it feels. It's not a perfect deck. It's not the best deck ever. You know, you're probably not going to win no tournaments with this, but it's a lot of fun, man. And for the cards that I have available to me, it's strong. It gets the job done, and I like it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I'm certainly happy with it. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing more games with this deck or if I'm going to make another one for the next video, but stay tuned. There's plenty more to come for Magic the Gathering Arena. So as always, the name of the game is Magic the Gathering Arena. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.